There is a power no one can take away from you, the power to govern your own mind, because that is where everything begins. The way you react, the decisions you make, what you accept, what you face, and even the strength you find when life demands more from you. And when you learn to take command of it, something powerful happens. The world may remain unpredictable, but you no longer are. Before we begin, I want you to write this sentence in the comments. My mind is under my command. I don't write it for me. Write it for yourself. Write it as a decision, as a commitment that you can feel fear without obeying it, you can face pressure without losing your clarity, and you can go through difficult moments without giving any person or circumstance the power to decide who you will become. Now pay close attention. Two people can face exactly the same problem, receive the same criticism, lose the same opportunity, and encounter the same difficulty along the way. But while one allows that moment to determine everything that comes next, the other stops, thinks, chooses their own response, and keeps moving forward. What separates these two people? It isn't luck, it isn't money, it isn't intelligence, and it isn't an easier life either. It's self-mastery. It's the ability to look at what is happening inside you and consciously decide what deserves to remain, what needs to be left behind, and what your next move will be. Because you don't need to control everything to become powerful. You need to learn not to be controlled by everything. The Stoics understood this more than 2,000 years ago. Some of them lived through wars, losses, persecution, and enormous responsibilities. Marcus Aurelius rose to lead an empire, but his meditations reveal that much of his effort was directed toward a far more personal conquest, governing his own thoughts, impulses, and actions. And perhaps that is exactly why his teachings remain so powerful. They show us that a strong mind isn't one that never feels fear, anger, doubt, or pressure. It's one that feels all of those things and can still choose who will be in command. That is the kind of strength you are going to start developing now. In this video, you will learn 9 Stoic strategies to strengthen your mind, increase your clarity, better govern your emotions, and build a mindset that doesn't fall apart every time life changes the plan. Because there is a kind of freedom that begins the moment you realize that not everything has to control you. An opinion can come your way, and you decide how much weight it will carry. A problem can arise, and you decide how you will face it. An emotion can surface, and you decide whether it will simply be felt or whether it will be given the power to guide your actions. That is the true power of a well-trained mind. Life keeps happening, but you continue to belong to yourself. And when you learn to govern yourself, you stop waiting for the world to become easier before you can finally feel strong. You become strong enough to walk through it. Let's begin. Strategy 1. Don't be afraid to stand your ground. There comes a point in life when you have to decide who is in control, you or the world around you. And for the Stoics, that decision always began in the same place, with your inner stance, at that invisible line where you declare to yourself that no one else has authority over your mind. They knew how to stand their ground without raising their voices, without arguing, without proving anything to anyone. They stood firm because they knew what they were capable of, understood their strengths, and were fully aware that no external circumstance had the power to control their reactions. Think about Epictetus. Born into slavery, Epictetus endured humiliation and hardship that many people would have struggled to bear, and yet he taught that although others might restrain his body, they could never take away his freedom to choose his response. That statement is not just beautiful philosophy. It is a hard truth about life. Nothing that happens to you has the power to break your freedom of choice. No provocation, no criticism, no unexpected problem, no difficulty that life puts in your path. Even when things seem out of control, there is one thing that remains in your hands, the way you respond. And that is where your power begins. That is where you take your stand. That is where you assert yourself. Do not give up that right because someone cut you off in traffic, because someone raised their voice at you, because someone dismissed your opinion in a meeting. Do not give away your power because someone tried to throw you off balance. Breathe, observe, and declare within yourself with quiet conviction, I control my mind, I control my reactions. When you do that, any problem loses half its power. The situation stops looking enormous, stops dragging you along, stops controlling you. It becomes simply what it really is, an event, not a sentence. The Stoics had no control over everything that happened around them, but they worked to gain command over what happened within them, and because of that, they had command over their destinies. Standing your ground is not about being harsh or inflexible. It is about knowing that there is a boundary no one can cross, the boundary of your inner authority. And the most important part is that this power is not a talent, it is not genetics, it is not luck. It is mental training, and it is available to you starting right now. Strategy 2. Don't give your freedom away to anything. Seneca said, "Show me a man who is not a slave." And then he continued, "Some are slaves to pride, others to sex, others to money, many to laziness, and almost everyone to fear." And to him, there was no more shameful form of servitude than the kind that begins within ourselves, from the choices we repeat without realizing it, from the habits we accept without questioning them. That is the hardest part of the statement. Inner slavery. The kind of imprisonment no one can see, but that slowly consumes you from within. Because anything you cannot walk away from, anything you cannot reduce, pause, or control, controls you. You think you are in charge, but you are being pulled along by impulses you never consciously chose. And here comes the part that almost no one likes to hear. Real growth rarely happens without a moment of realization. A moment when you look at yourself and realize that something is taking away your freedom, draining your energy, stealing your clarity. The Stoics did not say this to humiliate or punish anyone. They said it to wake people up, to remind them that human beings have enormous potential, but that potential evaporates when you surrender to small exceptions. Because that is how modern slavery begins, not with major downfalls, but with small excuses like, just this once, it won't hurt, no one will know. Every small compromise seems harmless until it becomes a chain, a dependency, an escape, a prison. And every time you give in to the easier impulse, the food you promised yourself you would avoid, the distraction that destroys your focus, the habit you swore you would quit, you are not simply repeating a behavior, you are giving away a piece of your power. That is how we lose self-control, one grain at a time. That is how discipline dissolves, day after day. And that is how the mind, once strong, begins to bow to what it should be commanding. But there is a liberating truth here. Autonomy is not born when you conquer something enormous. It is born when you refuse what holds you captive from within, once, twice, 10 times, until the chain begins to rust. The Stoics believed deeply in this. There is no greatness without freedom, and there is no freedom without inner mastery. And that mastery begins now, when you look honestly at your own dependencies and say, nothing controls me. Nothing has more power over me than I do. And that is the declaration that changes everything. That is the true beginning of your mental power. That is the beginning of the life you are trying to build. Strategy 3. Learn to protect your space. At some point in life, you need to decide how far you are willing to go for yourself and how far you are no longer willing to go for anyone else. Because when you do not define your boundaries, the world defines them for you, and it almost always gets them wrong. People push, test, cross invisible lines, and before you realize it, what started as a small intrusion turns into an entire territory being taken over. your emotions, your mind, your energy, your peace. Boundaries are not walls meant to keep people away. Boundaries are doors that protect what you cannot afford to lose, your clarity, your dignity, your inner strength. And if you do not decide what is acceptable and what crosses the line, someone will inevitably decide for you. The truth is simple and uncomfortable. Everything you tolerate becomes the standard. Everything you silently accept becomes routine. Everything you allow once happens 10 more times. And that is how many people lose control of their own lives, not because of major tragedies, but because of small daily intrusions they never had the courage to recognize as crossed boundaries. Think about it. When you put up with hurtful comments, when you swallow small acts of disrespect, when you carry other people's emotional baggage as if it were your responsibility, you are not being kind. You are allowing yourself to be invaded, and every silent intrusion takes away a piece of your mental strength. Mastering your mind is not just about thinking clearly. It is about knowing where you end and where someone else begins. It is recognizing that there is a sacred line within you that no one gets to cross. It is understanding that your peace has value and that value must be defended with firmness, not with aggression, but with awareness. Setting boundaries is a profound act of self-care and emotional maturity. It is looking at a situation and saying, calmly and confidently, "This I allow, this I do not. This I accept, this I do not." Not out of pride, not out of confrontation, but because you have finally understood that your mind is not open territory. It is a space that needs order, respect, and protection. And when you clearly define your boundaries, something powerful happens. Those who try to cross them step back, problems decrease, the noise loses its power, and for the first time you feel the weight of inner freedom, that feeling that your life is back in your own hands. The Stoics understood this. They did not control the world, but they were careful about what they allowed into their inner world, and that is why they were unshakable. The boundary you set today is the strength you feel tomorrow. And no one can do this for you. The line is yours. The choice is yours. The protection is yours too. Strategy 4. Define the values that will guide your life. Before you can become stronger in the world, you need to gain clarity within yourself. The Stoics understood this. They knew that life begins to fall into disorder precisely when our values stop being conscious, written down, visible, and start existing only as loose intentions in our minds. And anyone who lives on intentions alone ends up lost, because nothing is more dangerous than moving through life without direction. Maybe you have never stopped to write down your values, but think about this with me. How can you expect to have self-confidence if you do not even clearly know what you stand for? How can you expect to make good decisions if you do not know which boundaries protect your integrity? How can you expect to feel at peace if you have not yet decided what is non-negotiable for you? Research on high-performing organizations has repeatedly shown that clearly defined values can strengthen consistency, decision-making, and long-term direction. Having your values written down is like turning on a light in a dark room. You stop stumbling around. And the same is true in your personal life. Our inner life works the same way. What is clear on the inside is reflected in the results on the outside, and this is where the real challenge begins. What are the values that support the person you are trying to become? What do you stand for when no one applauds? What do you protect when no one is watching? What would you never compromise, even if it cost you comfort, time, energy, or your reputation? Do you value your family, your faith, your health, your discipline, your freedom, truth, compassion, courage, responsibility? Write them down. Yes, write them down because the mind forgets. But what you put on paper remains. When you place those values in front of you, something shifts inside you, as if suddenly an inner line becomes impossible to cross. And understand this: it is not your words that reveal your values, it is your actions. It is not what you say you value. It is what you do when you are tired, irritated, insecure, or under pressure. Those are the moments when your inner character reveals itself. That is when your character speaks the loudest. Writing down your values is a vow, a quiet commitment you make to the best version of yourself. And the more you live in alignment with those values, the lighter you feel, the more consistency you build, the more confidence you gain, because nothing brings greater peace than knowing that your life is guided by a principle, a direction, and a truth. So, do this today. Write it down, put on paper what keeps you grounded, and every time life tests you, come back to that page and remind yourself, when your values are clearly written down, you always know your way back. Strategy 5. Make peace with yourself. There is a silent prison that almost no one realizes they are living in, the prison of not forgiving yourself. And as long as you remain trapped inside it, no external achievement will bring you peace. No change will ever feel like enough, and no real growth will happen. The truth is that forgiveness, especially self-forgiveness, is the only thing capable of truly setting you free. When you feel angry with yourself for missing that opportunity that could have changed your life, when you feel ashamed of the situations you accepted, the words you swallowed, the times you made yourself smaller just to avoid upsetting anyone, when you feel sorry for yourself as you remember your lack of courage, your hesitation, the choices you know did not honor the person you wanted to be. These feelings have different names, but the effect is always the same. They keep you trapped in a past that no longer exists. The Stoics understood this deeply. They believed that whatever happened, you could choose how to respond to it and use adversity to strengthen your character. That is why they did not waste time drowning in anger, guilt, or self-pity. They used their time to train themselves in self-mastery. Because when you dedicate your energy to governing your mind, you understand that these powerful emotions do not help you grow. They only keep you trapped. It is like a fishing net. Every negative thought wraps another strand around you. Every bitter memory tightens the knot. Every regret creates another thread, and before you realize it, you are completely tangled up, trying to move forward, but constantly pulling yourself back. Forgiveness is the only way to tear through that net. Forgiving does not mean forgetting, justifying, or minimizing what happened. It means no longer carrying on your shoulders the weight of something that is already behind you. It means looking at your story with maturity and saying, I did the best I could with the awareness I had at the time, and now I choose to move forward. This is the moment when you can breathe again. It is the moment when your strength returns. It is the moment when you reclaim your place as the one in charge of your own life. Because guilt paralyzes you, but forgiveness gives you back your ability to move forward. Shame makes you feel smaller, but forgiveness restores your dignity. Anger blinds you, but forgiveness restores your clarity. And just as the Stoics did, you can also decide today that your past will not control your present. Forgiving yourself is not an act of weakness, it is an act of courage, the courage to set yourself free. Strategy 6. Clear your mind. A cluttered, overloaded, overly busy mind is like a small room where you are trying to live surrounded by chaos. Nothing flows, nothing fits, nothing can breathe. The Stoics believed that an overloaded mind loses strength, loses clarity, and loses direction. And that is why they practice something that seems simple, but changes absolutely everything. Clearing the mind every day, like removing what is unnecessary so you can see what is essential. Marcus Aurelius did this through writing. Seneca did it through reflection. Epictetus did it by questioning his own thoughts before believing them. Each had his own method, but they all had the same goal: not to carry weight that did not need to be carried. you carry too much as well. You carry old conversations, worries that are not even yours, fears that never came true, expectations that put pressure on you, recycled thoughts that keep running through your head like a machine that never shuts off. And the more you carry, the less room you have for what truly matters. The mind was not made to remain overcrowded. It was made to function with space, to think clearly, to feel with awareness, and to make decisions calmly. And that is why clearing your mind is an act of protection, not weakness. Think of your mind as a desk. If it is covered with papers, objects, trash, crumbs, leftovers from yesterday, you cannot work well. Everything becomes a distraction. Everything gets in your way. But when you clear the desk, when you organize the space, the simple act of looking at it already gives you a sense of calm, focus, and presence. The mind works the same way. A clear mind reacts better, suffers less unnecessarily, and chooses more wisely. You begin to distinguish what is real from what anxiety has invented, what is urgent from what is just noise, and what belongs to you from what other people are projecting onto you. And clearing your mind does not mean erasing your problems. It does not mean pretending that nothing exists. It means consciously choosing what deserves to remain. It means saying, I will face this, I will let this go, I refuse to carry this. This is where you regain control. This is where you regain your energy. This is where you become yourself again. So do what the Stoics did. Take a few minutes every day and observe your thoughts the way you would observe the sky. Some are clouds passing by, others are storms you create without realizing it. Others are nothing more than dust stirred up by someone who crossed your path. Let what needs to go, go. Write down what is weighing on you. Question what frightens you. Breathe before believing the first story your mind creates. Clearing your mind is a spiritual, philosophical, and deeply practical act. It is what brings lightness back to what had become heavy and quiets what had been screaming inside you. The Stoics did this to live better. You do it to live more freely, and that freedom begins with one simple act, removing the excess so that what is essential can emerge. Strategy 7. Build a routine that makes you stronger. The point almost no one realizes is that your life is not defined by the big moments, but by the small habits you repeat when no one is watching. And when you don't have a clear routine, you spend your life reacting to the day, putting out fires, racing against the clock, trying to regain a sense of control that never comes. The Stoics understood this with remarkable clarity. To them, routine was not monotony, it was not rigidity, it was not a prison, it was freedom. Because a mind that doesn't know where it's going becomes a slave to distractions, impulses, problems, and everything else that appears along the way. Think about Marcus Aurelius. Even as emperor with wars, meetings, pressures, and overwhelming responsibilities, he wrote every day. He reflected, organized his thoughts, prepared himself for what was ahead, because he knew that a life without direction becomes a boat at the mercy of the wind. And that's what happens to you when you wake up and let the day carry you along. Without realizing it, your energy gets scattered, your attention gets divided, and every small urgency pulls you farther away from what truly matters. Creating a routine is not about doing everything perfectly, it's about building solid ground where your mind can breathe, think, and act with clarity. It's about consciously deciding which small actions keep you grounded and repeating those actions until they build the life you want. It can be something simple, waking up at the same time, reading for 10 minutes, organizing your space before you leave, making a short list of what truly matters that day, walking for a few minutes, taking care of your body, writing down what you're feeling. Just a few things, but done with presence and intention. Because that's what a good routine does. It anchors you, it protects you from chaos, it puts you back in control. Without a routine, everything becomes a priority. With a routine, only what truly matters remains. And there is something even more powerful. When you create a routine, you train your mind to trust you. You prove to yourself that you are someone who keeps your word, who keeps going, who moves forward, who doesn't depend on motivation, but on commitment. That's how real discipline is built, from what is simple, from what is repeated, from what seems small, but builds something powerful. So today, choose a minimum set of daily rituals, 2, 3, you don't need more than that, and treat them as the foundation of your mental fortress. Because when your routine supports you, no storm is strong enough to knock you down. Strategy 8. The stronger you become inside, the further you'll go. There is a strength no one can see, but that shapes every step of your life. Inner strength. It doesn't come from praise or luck or easy moments. It comes from what you make it through, from what you endure in silence, from what you face even when you're not sure you'll be able to handle it. And there is a simple principle that governs this strength. Once you overcome something big, the small things no longer scare you. After enduring deep pain, you become capable of dealing with smaller difficulties without losing your balance. After facing a difficult confrontation, you gain the courage to handle smaller disagreements with maturity. After acting honestly when large sums of money are involved, integrity with smaller amounts becomes your natural standard. The Stoics understood this. They knew that adversity can train something within you, something that never returns to its original state. It's like metal that becomes stronger after passing through fire. You come out different, more aware of what you're capable of, more confident in your own strength. The foundation of self-confidence is not found in the outside world, but in repeatedly acting in alignment with your values, especially in the small moments. Every time you choose your values over what is easier, you lay a brick. Every time you act with courage despite fear, another brick. Every time you tell the truth, even when a lie would be more convenient, another brick. And brick by brick, you build something within yourself that no one can see, but that supports absolutely everything. The deep confidence that you are capable of handling whatever comes your way. This inner strength doesn't appear all at once. It doesn't come from a single moment of enlightenment. It is built in everyday life, on that day when you decided to respect your own limits, in that moment when you faced what you had been avoiding, in that difficult conversation you had the courage to see through, in that no you said because you knew you needed to protect yourself. That's how character becomes solid. That's how courage is sharpened. That's how self-esteem rises again after years of being torn down. Think of inner strength as a root. It doesn't appear on the surface, it doesn't draw attention, it doesn't need to prove anything, but it is what keeps the tree standing during the storm. The deeper it grows, the stronger you become. Every choice aligned with your highest values strengthens that root. Every act of integrity, no matter how small, quietly shapes the person you are becoming. And the more you repeat these behaviors, the less they feel like effort, and the more they become part of who you are. Inner strength is not luck. It is not a gift. It is not destiny. It is something you build. It is discipline. It is the quiet work of living in alignment with who you truly want to be. And when that strength grows, something extraordinary happens. The world stops intimidating you because you discover that true security was never out there, it was always within you. Strategy 9. You create it first in your mind, then in your life. There is something creating your life right now, even as you listen to this video. What you think when no one is watching, what you silently repeat to yourself about who you are, about your future, about what you deserve or don't deserve to experience. We are not simply what we say out loud. We become what we repeatedly think. Every persistent thought carves a groove into the mind, and over time, that groove becomes a path, becomes a habit, becomes an identity. The Stoics understood this long before modern psychology. To them, thought was not just an internal commentary. It was a creative act, a force that shapes the way you see the world and the way you see yourself within it. Think about it in simple terms. If deep down you believe you are weak, you will act like someone who is weak, you will back down, you will make yourself smaller, you will say, "That's not for me," before you even try. If you believe you are capable, you may still feel afraid, but you will move forward despite that fear, and the world does not respond to what you want, it responds to what you do. Everything you experience, the results you get, the courage you feel, or the insecurity that paralyzes you, is subject to a law that never fails: cause and effect. Nothing comes from nothing. Nothing happens in a vacuum. First comes a thought, then a choice, then a habit, and only then does it become reality. The Bible itself explains this in a way that has endured for centuries. Whatever a man sows, that he will also reap. This is not just about religion, it is a law of life. The mind is the soil, the thought is the seed, your life is the harvest. If every day you sow thoughts of defeat, comparison, resentment, and doubt, you are watering an entire field of insecurity, anxiety, and paralysis. You cannot harvest confidence from soil where you have planted nothing but fear. But when you begin to consciously choose what you want to plant in your mind, something begins to change. When you decide to repeat to yourself, "I can learn, I deserve to improve, I can handle the discomfort of growth, I have value even when no one applauds me," you begin to change the ground within you. Your body responds, your choices change, your posture changes, your energy changes, and little by little, your reality begins to align with what you have come to believe. It is not magic, it is consistency. You think differently, you act differently, you persist differently, and life responds to this new level of action. So, here is your Stoic challenge. For the next 7 days, choose one phrase that strengthens the person you want to become, and repeat that phrase every day, quietly or in your mind, especially when doubt appears. It could be, "I am in control of my mind. I can learn anything. I deserve a life that is in order. My worth comes from within." Write that phrase on a piece of paper. Put it somewhere you can see it. Read it again when fear shows up. You are not trying to fool yourself. You are training the ground where your life begins. Because, at the end of the day, the world may challenge you, but your mind decides how far you will go. If you change what you sow within, you change the way you act, persist, and respond. And over time, that can change what you harvest in your life. More than 2,000 years ago, someone felt exactly what you feel right now and left us the answer. Stoic House exists to bring that answer to your heart. If this moved you, like, share, and subscribe. May serenity stay with you until we meet again.